Luka Doncic is now fully focused on the Lakers and has already left his past in Dallas behind. That's what his agent said. Stay until the end to find out everything. But first, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Luka Doncic's journey from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers was more than a high-profile trade. It was a shockwave that altered the trajectory of both his career and one of the NBA's most storied franchises. When the deal became official in early February 2025, it caught fans, analysts, and even Luka himself by surprise. For years, he had been the face of Dallas basketball, a perennial all-star who had led the Mavericks to deep playoff runs and who many believed would retire wearing their jersey. The news reached him in the early morning hours while he was at home, winding down after a long day. The phone call that confirmed the move marked the end of a chapter he thought would last his entire professional life. In his first appearance as a Laker, Luka admitted openly that the moment was emotional, leaving behind a city, a fan base, and teammates he had grown to consider family. But alongside that sadness was a spark of anticipation, an awareness that the Lakers represented both a new challenge and a new stage to showcase his game. For Luka, the adjustment would not be purely about basketball. Moving to Los Angeles meant stepping into a market where every play, every gesture, every soundbite would be dissected under a microscope. The Lakers are not just a basketball team, they are a global brand, a magnet for pressure and attention. Wearing the purple and gold meant inheriting the expectations left by legends, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James among them. He spoke with sincerity about one of his earliest memories tied to the franchise, a brief meeting with Kobe during his rookie year when the late Lakers icon addressed him by name. That moment, he said, stayed with him and shaped his view of what greatness looks like, both on and off the court. The first weeks in Los Angeles were a whirlwind of practices, media sessions, and integration with his new teammates. On the court, the chemistry wasn't instant. There were turnovers, miscommunications, and the natural growing pains of learning a new system mid-season. But even in those early games, flashes of Luka's signature vision and creativity hinted at what could come once the pieces clicked. When asked about his ultimate goal, he didn't hesitate. "Win a championship," he said firmly. "That's the only reason you come here." Those words, simple and direct, resonated deeply with a fan base hungry for its next title run. They also served as a declaration of intent. Luka wasn't in Los Angeles to be just another star. He was there to lead. This chapter of his career began in the most unexpected way, but for Luka Doncic, the opportunity is clear. The Lakers have given him a platform matched only by the scale of his ambition. How he uses it will define not just his legacy, but potentially the next era of Lakers basketball. The news of Luka Doncic joining the Los Angeles Lakers did not just surprise him, it rattled the entire NBA landscape. Analysts scrambled to understand the mechanics of the deal, while fans across the league debated whether this was the most significant mid-season trade in recent memory. In Los Angeles, the reaction was a blend of disbelief and electric anticipation. A franchise that has never shied away from star power had just landed one of the brightest talents in the game. Yet this move carried more than just headlines. It carried weight, expectation, and an unspoken challenge. For Luka, the days immediately following the trade were a blur. There were meetings with coaches, medical evaluations, and strategy sessions before he even stepped onto the court in a Lakers uniform. He was introduced to a locker room that included seasoned veterans and rising prospects, each with their own ambitions and roles to protect. Navigating that dynamic required more than just basketball skill. It demanded diplomacy, humility, and the ability to quickly earn trust. His first practices were telling. Teammates noticed how vocal he was, even while still learning the playbook. Luka's natural leadership instincts surfaced, but he was careful not to overstep. In those early days, his focus was on observing, adapting, and absorbing as much as possible. The Lakers' offensive system was different from what he'd mastered in Dallas. It relied on quicker ball movement, more off-ball action, and the kind of positional flexibility that required him to rewire certain habits. When his debut game arrived, the atmosphere inside Crypto.com Arena was electric. Fans came not just to see Luka play, but to witness the first glimpse of a new era. The cheers were loud, the camera flashes constant. Every dribble, pass, and shot carried the weight of expectation. His performance that night was solid but unspectacular. Moments of brilliance mixed with clear signs that adjustment was still underway. For many stars, that might have felt like a stumble. For Luka, it was fuel. In the post-game press conference, he was honest about the transition. "It's going to take time," he admitted. "I need to learn my teammates, learn the system, learn the city, but I'm ready to put in the work." Those words struck a chord with fans and media alike, not because they were grand promises, but because they reflected the grounded confidence that has defined his career. Behind the scenes, Luka began establishing a daily routine in Los Angeles. Early morning workouts, film study with the coaching staff, and extended shooting sessions after practice became standard. He worked closely with team trainers to refine his conditioning, knowing that the Lakers' up-tempo style would demand top-tier stamina. His competitive nature pushed him to set personal benchmarks. How quickly he could master the terminology, how rapidly he could sync with LeBron James on court reads, how effectively he could close defensive gaps. The trade had shaken his sense of permanence, but it also ignited something deeper. In Dallas, Luka had carried the role of franchise cornerstone from day one. In Los Angeles, he shared that mantle with one of the greatest to ever play the game. It was a different kind of responsibility, one that required him to balance deference with assertion, patience with urgency. The opening weeks were about more than stats or wins. They were about laying a foundation. Luka knew that if he could earn the respect of this locker room and this fan base, the victories would follow. The process had begun, and though the path ahead was steep, he had already taken the first decisive steps. From the moment Luka Doncic walked into the Lakers' practice facility, the unspoken question lingered in the air. How would he mesh with LeBron James? Pairing one of the most gifted young playmakers in the league with one of the greatest. All-around players in history sounded like a dream for fans, but in basketball, talent alone doesn't guarantee chemistry. It had to be built, play by play, conversation by conversation. Their first interactions were respectful, almost cautious. Luka had grown up watching LeBron dominate the NBA, studying his game, and now they were sharing the same jersey. LeBron, in turn, had long admired Luka's vision and creativity, recognizing in him a rare ability to control tempo and dictate the flow of a game. Still, admiration doesn't automatically translate into synchronization. The early practices revealed moments where their instincts didn't fully align, passing lanes missed by a split second, spacing issues when both tried to initiate offense, and overlapping decisions in clutch situations. But those same moments also showed glimpses of what could come. There were possessions where their combined IQ made the defense look powerless. Luka drawing two defenders with a step-back feint before zipping a no-look pass to LeBron cutting baseline, LeBron responding in the next sequence with a perfectly timed handoff that set Luka up for a wide-open three. Those flashes became the blueprint. Off the court, the connection grew faster. LeBron made a point of sitting with Luka on team flights, discussing not only plays and tactics, but the realities of carrying the expectations of an entire franchise. He shared stories from his early years in Cleveland, the adjustments after moving to Miami, and the lessons of returning to the Cavaliers for a title. Luka listened intently, absorbing the parallels between their paths. They also found common ground in their competitiveness. Whether it was shooting drills after practice or friendly arguments during film sessions, both thrived on pushing each other. LeBron would occasionally challenge Luka with defensive matchups in practice, forcing him to adapt his offensive reads. Luka responded with his own brand of competitive fire, subtle smiles after hitting contested shots, nods that said, "I'm ready for more." The public began to notice a shift by the end of their third week together. In games, their body language spoke volumes, pointing each other into position, quick glances before backdoor cuts, and an unspoken trust in late-game situations. The turnovers that plagued their early games together began to fade. The ball moved faster, decisions came quicker, and opponents started to realize that stopping one of them wasn't enough. For Luka, playing alongside LeBron also meant learning the subtleties of pacing an NBA season. LeBron emphasized the importance of preserving energy for the playoffs, of knowing when to push the tempo and when to slow the game down. This mentorship went beyond X's and O's. It was about preparing for the long grind of championship contention. By the end of the first month, it was clear they weren't just coexisting. They were beginning to complement each other. Luka brought a youthful edge and relentless creativity, while LeBron provided veteran wisdom and a stabilizing presence. The Lakers' offense was evolving into something more fluid, more unpredictable, and far more dangerous. It was still early, and both knew there was a lot of work ahead. But one thing had become certain. The partnership wasn't a question mark anymore. It was a weapon. And as the season unfolded, it would become the foundation for the Lakers' ambitions. When Luka Doncic arrived in Los Angeles, it wasn't just his jersey that was different, it was his body. Over the off-season leading into this pivotal year, he had undergone the most demanding physical transformation of his career. Shedding over 30 pounds was not merely about aesthetics, it was a calculated decision aimed at extending his prime, improving agility, and silencing critics who questioned his conditioning. The transformation started months before the trade, fueled by an off-season of relentless discipline. His new routine involved early morning workouts that combined strength training with explosive movement drills, sprints, lateral agility exercises, and core stabilization work. His diet shifted dramatically as well. Processed sugars were out. Lean proteins and fresh vegetables became the foundation. In Dallas, his game had always been cerebral and skill-based. Now it was about marrying that skill with elite athletic readiness. By the time he stepped into the Lakers facility for his first official day, the difference was undeniable. Teammates noticed how light on his feet he seemed, how his first step was quicker, how he could sustain bursts of speed deeper into scrimmages. Coaches saw an opportunity. This version of Luka could push the pace in transition, something the Lakers had been eager to exploit alongside their existing star power. The mental side of this transformation was just as important. Luka spoke openly in his first week as a Laker about how the discipline of reshaping his body had sharpened his focus. "If you're going to put your body through this every day," he said, "you have to have the same discipline with your mind." This mindset shift carried over to film study, practice intensity, and preparation for games. He wasn't simply relying on his natural feel for basketball, he was attacking every detail. On the court, the benefits were immediate. Defensively, he was able to switch onto quicker guards without being left behind. Offensively, his step back three gained a sharper separation, and his drives to the rim had a burst that kept defenders guessing. The Lakers' coaching staff adjusted certain sets to take advantage of this, using him in more pick-and-rolls where his improved speed made him harder to trap. The physical gains also meant he could endure the heavy minutes that come with being a primary playmaker in Los Angeles. The NBA season is a grind, and carrying a major offensive load can wear down even the most conditioned athletes. Luka's renewed stamina allowed him to close games with the same sharpness he showed in the first quarter, a difference that was noticed not only by fans, but by opponents who had grown accustomed to seeing him pace himself. Off the floor, his transformation became a symbol for the team's new direction. Younger players took note of his dedication, joining him for extra conditioning sessions. It wasn't just leadership by words, it was leadership by example. For a roster that was blending veterans and youth, that example was invaluable. Yet Luka knew that physical preparation was only the foundation. The real test would come in the high-pressure moments of the season, when fatigue, mental strain, and the stakes of championship pursuit all collided. For now, though, he had given himself every advantage. Stronger, faster, sharper. This was Luka Doncic 2.0. And in Los Angeles, the city of reinvention, his timing couldn't have been better. The first real measure of Luka Doncic's new form as a Laker came sooner than expected. Barely 3 weeks after his arrival, Los Angeles faced a stretch of high-profile games, nationally televised matchups against top contenders, the kind of nights that define narratives in the NBA. The city's spotlight is always intense, but on these occasions, it burns hotter. The first of these was a home game against a rival Western Conference powerhouse. From the opening tip, Luka's energy was different. He attacked the rim with a burst that forced defenders to backpedal, creating open looks for his teammates. His quicker first step, the product of months of training, was on full display. On one play in the second quarter, he crossed over his defender with a lightning-quick shift and finished through contact, drawing a roar from the crowd that seemed to rattle the opposition. But these games were not just about offense. Luka's improved conditioning showed in his defense, something that had often been criticized earlier in his career. He chased shooters off the three-point line, rotated quickly on help defense, and even fought through screens with more persistence. His ability to defend in space for longer stretches gave the Lakers' coaching staff more flexibility in their schemes. The chemistry with LeBron James also took a noticeable leap during this stretch. In crunch time against a strong Eastern Conference opponent, the two stars orchestrated a masterclass in half-court execution. On one possession, Luka initiated a pick-and-roll with LeBron as the screener, reading the defense perfectly and threading a pass back to LeBron for a thunderous dunk. The next trip down the floor, LeBron returned the favor, finding Luka wide open in the corner for a decisive three-pointer. It wasn't just star power, it was trust. One of the defining moments of this early run came in a road game where the Lakers trailed by double digits entering the fourth quarter. Luka played the entire final frame without slowing down, scoring 14 points and dishing out 5 assists to lead a furious comeback. His body language told the story, focused, confident, unfazed by the hostile crowd. The post-game headlines didn't just celebrate the win. They celebrated the arrival of a version of Luka capable of closing games in purple and gold. Behind the scenes, these performances were no accident. Luka's preparation had become almost ritualistic. Film study every morning, shooting reps from every imaginable spot on the floor, and late-night recovery sessions to keep his legs fresh. His willingness to maintain this discipline during a brutal schedule impressed the veterans and set a tone for the younger players. The early tests also revealed something about Luka's mentality in Los Angeles. He thrived on the challenge. The bigger the moment, the more engaged he seemed. He understood that in this city, legends are made under pressure, and every big game is another page in that story. For Luka, these first tests weren't just about proving he belonged. They were about laying the groundwork for a season that could redefine his legacy. The Lakers had brought him in to change their ceiling. In these early battles, he was already showing that he might just raise it higher than anyone had imagined. Joining a team mid-season can be challenging in any professional sport, especially when that team carries the weight of legacy and expectations like the Los Angeles Lakers. For Luka Doncic, entering a locker room filled with established personalities meant navigating delicate dynamics, proving himself beyond statistics, and earning the respect of teammates both veteran and young. From the start, Luka understood that leadership isn't just about what you do on the court, it's equally about presence off it. Despite being the new arrival, He made a point to connect personally with teammates, learning their routines, listening to their perspectives, and showing genuine interest in their lives. That effort didn't go unnoticed. Veterans like Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell saw in Luka a refreshing combination of humility and confidence. He wasn't trying to dominate conversations or assert himself as the boss overnight. Instead, he led by example, arriving early for practice, staying late for shooting drills, and maintaining focus during meetings. His work ethic became contagious, raising the energy levels around the facility. Younger players, looking up to both LeBron James and Luka, appreciated how Luka balanced competitiveness with approachability. He was tough in practice, but quick to encourage when a teammate struggled. His sense of humor lightened the mood during tense moments, making him an anchor in a locker room adapting to change. Luka also took on the role of a bridge between different groups within the team. With a roster blending seasoned stars, recent draft picks, and role players, uniting everyone under one vision was critical. His openness and willingness to communicate helped dissolve any barriers. He regularly initiated film sessions with smaller groups, inviting teammates to discuss strategies and provide input. This collaborative approach fostered a culture where everyone felt invested in the team's success. LeBron James recognized this growing influence early on. Privately, LeBron noted Luka's maturity beyond his years, how he handled media pressure, how he remained calm in adversity, and how he could rally teammates when momentum shifted. On the court, this translated into Luka taking control during critical stretches, calming down frantic plays, and making smart decisions that benefited the whole team. There were moments when Luka's leadership was tested. In a game where the Lakers lost a tough contest, he called a team meeting in the locker room, a rare move for a player so new to the franchise. He addressed mistakes without blame, focusing on collective responsibility and encouraging everyone to learn and move forward. This act strengthened the bond between players and reinforced Luka's role as a core leader. Off the court, Luka embraced community events and media obligations with the same seriousness, understanding that the Lakers' identity extends beyond basketball. He made appearances that connected with fans, helped charitable causes, and represented the franchise with professionalism. This broadened his influence beyond the hardwood, endearing him further to the Los Angeles community. In just a few weeks, Luka Doncic had transitioned from newcomer to cornerstone, not only for his on-court talent, but for the culture he was helping to build. His voice had become indispensable, his presence irreplaceable. The Lakers weren't just gaining a star, they were gaining a leader ready to shape the future. In the high-stakes world of Los Angeles basketball, no player's arrival goes unnoticed, especially when that player is Luka Doncic, a superstar with the weight of expectations already on his shoulders. From the moment the trade was announced, the media frenzy surrounding the Lakers reached a new peak, and the fan base found itself at a crossroads of hope, skepticism, and excitement. Sports journalists quickly pivoted their narratives to frame Luka as the potential savior of a franchise hungry for championship glory. Headlines ranged from analytical breakdowns of his statistical impact to more emotive stories about what his presence meant for the Lakers' identity. Commentators praised his combination of size, skill, and basketball IQ, but also pointed out the challenges he faced integrating into a new system mid-season. Among the recurring themes was the question of chemistry. How quickly would Luka and LeBron James develop the intuitive connection necessary for a title run? Pundits debated whether the Lakers roster, filled with role players and veterans, would adjust to Luka's style or if he would have to conform to theirs. Yet many agreed on one point. This was a rare, once-in-a-generation opportunity for the franchise to reclaim its place among the NBA's elite. Social media amplified every game, play, and interview. Fans dissected highlights frame by frame, celebrating Luka's clutch shots and defensive efforts. Hashtags like Luka in LA and purple and gold rising trended during key matchups, turning digital platforms into a 24/7 forum for Lakers discourse. The excitement was palpable, especially among younger supporters who saw in Luka a fresh face capable of carrying the team forward. However, no narrative is complete without its critics. Some longtime Lakers fans expressed concerns about the trade's impact on team cohesion and questioned whether Luka's style could mesh with the Lakers' traditional brand of basketball. Skeptics pointed to early game turnovers and defensive lapses as evidence that the integration process would be rocky. Yet, these voices often acknowledged that the potential upside was too great to ignore. National media outlets also weighed in, framing Luka's move to Los Angeles as a seismic shift in the league's balance of power. Analysts compared this moment to other historic player relocations, emphasizing the ripple effects on playoff matchups and future trades. The Lakers, once again, were the epicenter of NBA conversations, not just as a team, but as a cultural phenomenon. Despite the noise, Luka remained focused on the court. In press conferences, he deflected praise and criticism alike, emphasizing the team's collective goals over individual accolades. His humility resonated with fans and media, reinforcing the image of a player who understood the bigger picture. As the season progressed, the evolving relationship between Luka and the Lakers became a favorite storyline across sports networks, podcasts, and fan forums. Every win sparked renewed optimism, while losses triggered debates about what needed to be fixed. But through it all, one thing was clear. Luka Doncic's arrival had reignited passion for the Lakers franchise, creating a new chapter filled with promise and intrigue. The arrival of Luka Doncic in Los Angeles presented not only a roster upgrade, but a strategic challenge. The coaching staff, led by head coach Darvin Ham, faced the task of integrating a generational talent into an existing system without losing the team's identity. The process required flexibility, innovation, and a deep understanding of Luka's unique skill set. Early practices revealed the need to evolve the Lakers' offensive schemes. Previously reliant on post-ups and isolation plays, the team began incorporating more pick-and-roll actions, a staple of Luka's game. This adjustment allowed Luka to exploit his exceptional court vision and decision-making, creating scoring opportunities not just for himself, but for teammates like Anthony Davis and Austin Reeves. Spacing became a priority. Coaches emphasized floor movement and off-ball screens to give Luka the room to operate. The Lakers adjusted their lineup rotations to ensure shooters were on the floor alongside Luka, opening up driving lanes and pulling defenses away from the paint. Players like Malik Monk and D'Angelo Russell became key components in this approach, their shooting ability complementing Luka's playmaking. Defensively, the staff also tailored schemes to leverage Luka's improved conditioning and versatility. They implemented more switching on pick and rolls, trusting Luka to guard multiple positions. This flexibility allowed the Lakers to stay aggressive on defense while maintaining cohesion. Film sessions grew increasingly collaborative, with Luka actively involved in analyzing opponent tendencies and suggesting adjustments. His high basketball IQ made him a natural extension of the coaching staff on the floor, often directing teammates and calling out defensive rotations in real time. The coaching staff also managed Luka's minutes carefully to maximize his effectiveness. Balancing his workload was crucial to keep him fresh for the playoff push. Load management strategies, including scheduled rest days and controlled practice intensity, were coordinated with the medical team. The strategic evolution wasn't without growing pains. Early games showed moments of confusion as players adapted to new roles and rotations. But the team's resilience and commitment to the system became evident as chemistry improved and execution sharpened. This tactical flexibility paid dividends in critical matchups, where the Lakers' offense became more dynamic and less predictable. Luka's ability to orchestrate from the point guard or stretch forward positions gave the team multiple looks, keeping opponents off balance. By mid-season, the Lakers' identity was clearly shifting. The offense was faster, more fluid, and centered around Luka's playmaking. The defense was more versatile, reflecting the team's confidence in Luka's all-around abilities. These changes underscored a larger theme. The Lakers were not simply adding Luka Doncic to their roster, they were building a team around him. This strategic commitment reflected a long-term vision, one that recognized Luka's potential to be the franchise's cornerstone for years to come. As the season progressed, the Los Angeles Lakers' transformation under Luka Doncic's influence became increasingly evident, not just in statistics, but in the intangible elements of teamwork and trust. Chemistry, often described as the secret ingredient of successful teams, began to take root in the purple and gold locker room and flow onto the court. Early on, the duo of Luka and LeBron James had shown flashes of brilliance, but the bigger test was sustaining that connection under the intense pressure of close games, moments when every possession matters and the margin for error shrinks. It was in these crucibles that true chemistry is revealed. One turning point came in a critical Western Conference clash against a playoff contender where the Lakers faced a late-game deficit. With the clock winding down, Luka and LeBron orchestrated a series of seamless plays. Their telepathic understanding allowed Luka to exploit defensive mismatches, while LeBron's court vision opened lanes for both scoring and assists. That night, the Lakers rallied from behind to secure a comeback victory, with their stars leading the charge through synchronized play rather than individual heroics. Supporting cast members also stepped up as chemistry deepened. Anthony Davis, already a seasoned veteran, adapted his style to complement Luka's ball handling and playmaking. Their pick-and-roll execution grew sharper, and Davis became a reliable finisher and rim protector, trusting Luka to find him at the right moment. Role players like Austin Reeves and Malik Monk embraced their roles within the new system, benefiting from Luka's ability to draw defensive attention and create open shots. The collective confidence swelled, turning close games into collaborative efforts rather than isolated performances. Defensively, communication improved markedly. The team's willingness to rotate, switch, and help each other reflected a growing cohesion. Luka's vocal leadership on the floor encouraged teammates to stay alert and engaged, reducing breakdowns that had plagued early games. Film sessions became a forum for open dialogue, with players exchanging feedback and discussing adjustments. This culture of accountability fostered respect and camaraderie, crucial elements for any championship contender. The evolving chemistry was perhaps most visible in clutch moments, the final minutes of tight games. Instead of chaos, there was calmness and clarity. Luka's trust in his teammates, and theirs in him, led to smart shot selection and efficient execution. The team had begun to embody a shared belief that no opponent was unbeatable. Off the court, this chemistry translated into genuine friendships and mutual support. Team dinners, informal gatherings, and community events strengthened bonds that went beyond basketball. The Lakers were becoming more than a collection of talented individuals. They were a unified group with a common goal. While challenges remained, especially with injuries and the relentless NBA schedule, the trajectory was clear. The Lakers, led by Luka Doncic and LeBron James, had built a foundation of trust and understanding. It was a foundation strong enough to carry them through the most demanding stretches of the season and into the postseason battle for a championship. As the season reached its most intense phase, the Los Angeles Lakers, led by Luka Doncic, found themselves under a brighter spotlight than ever before. This chapter of their story was shaped by a series of pivotal games and moments, ones that tested their resilience, chemistry, and championship aspirations. One of the season's standout games came against a top Western Conference rival, a matchup. That was more than just about wins. It was about establishing the Lakers as serious contenders. Luka delivered a masterful performance, showcasing his scoring, playmaking, and leadership. In the clutch moments, his signature step-back three-pointer over a key defender swung the momentum and energized both the team and the fans. This game was a clear signal that Luka was ready to carry the franchise forward. Yet the journey was not without setbacks. A tough loss on the road against an underdog team exposed defensive weaknesses and inconsistency that the Lakers still needed to address. However, Luka's response was emblematic of his maturity. He publicly embraced the learning opportunity and pushed the team to regroup and improve. As the playoffs arrived, Luka elevated his game even further. Averaging career-high points and assists, he became the heartbeat of the Lakers in high-pressure moments. His evolving chemistry with LeBron James was on full display. Their on-court synergy became a defining feature of the team's identity. Coaches and analysts frequently highlighted this dynamic duo as a force that could challenge any opponent. Beyond the hardwood, this season sparked a cultural renaissance for the Lakers organization. The blend of veteran leadership and Luka's youthful energy reinvigorated the locker room and reignited the fan base's passion. The arenas buzzed with excitement, a testament to the belief that this team was on the cusp of something special. Looking forward, the future for the Lakers appears promising but demanding. Luka's dedication to continuous growth, combined with a coaching staff willing to innovate tactically, forms a solid foundation. This season was not merely about chasing past Lakers' glories. It was about building a new dynasty anchored by Luka's talent and leadership. In summary, the defining games and moments of this season have done more than just shape the standings. They have redefined the Lakers' trajectory. Luka Doncic's arrival marked the beginning of a new era, one characterized by resilience, innovation, and championship ambition. The road ahead is challenging, but with Luka at the helm, the Lakers are poised to embrace their destiny.